been fasting for 48 hours now. And yeah, I've done this once before. And well, actually I've done it a few times before, but I've done it once recently, and this was last month. And yeah, I think I've been doing intermittent fasting for about 7 years now, or 8 or 9 actually. I think it's been about 9 years. So I've been in intermittent fasting for 9 years, which is just, usually it's just 18 hours of no food or 16 hours. So for example, the last meal is at 8, just having dinner, and then not eating breakfast, and then eating the first meal at 12. So that doesn't sound too hard, really. It just means missing breakfast. That's just probably the basic way to do it. And all of us fast to some extent, right? We go to sleep. So if you have your meal at 8 and then you eat at 8 in the morning, that's a 12-hour fast. So if I say it that way, it doesn't sound as crazy, does it? So that's the basic level. And then fasting for 16 hours or 18 hours, that just means delaying food until 12 or 2. And that's what I usually do, around that range. Just because it feels like comfortable for me now. I'm probably used to it. And I started it because I was quite overweight at some point. Way before I went even traveling. It was like I was quite overweight, yeah. So I did it for physical reasons. Firstly, I did it just to get some weight loss and get clearer in my mind and stop the eating habits, because I was eating like, what do you call it, fry-ups, right? I was eating fry-ups every day. So fried eggs, beans, all of that stuff. That was my breakfast every day, because I used to go into work and had a canteen at work, conveniently. So I used to get into work, and first thing is I'll go and have a breakfast, and the food was subsidized as well. So it was like £2 for a full English breakfast. Really good as well. So I was like, yeah, I have to make the most of this. So I ate breakfast, and then I used to eat lunch as well there. And then I used to go and get a sandwich afterwards. So I was eating 3 times in a work day, like decent sized portions. And then I'd go home and eat. And then maybe sometimes even late in the night, I would eat about 10 or whatever before bed. So it was constant food, and it was because I was in this phase of bodybuilding, right? Trying to get big. And it caught up on me at some point, because I did get very big muscles, and it was awesome. But I also injured myself at one point. This was almost like a turning point, because I injured my back, and then all of the weightlifting was usually burning up the calories, right? So I didn't really gain that much weight. I was still I was like that mix of bulk, that bulkosaurus or whatever you want to call it, muscle and fat, but it didn't look like fat. So when I got injured, I gained a lot of weight because I couldn't lift. I couldn't do any exercise for about 3 months, I think, at least. But then it became 6 months. I couldn't train legs, and that's the biggest muscle group in the body, and that burns the most calories. So I had to stop, and I gained weight. So back to the story of the fasting, I started that because I wanted to lose some weight. I realized I was overweight, which was hard for me to admit because I thought I was just bulky. I thought, yeah, I'm just a big muscular guy. But one day it hit me. I was like, I'm actually overweight. I'm not anymore in this good physique. That's gone. And it was tough, because I was like, I thought it was normal for a while. I thought being big was fine, but I got too big, basically. And then I had to try, well, I didn't desperately try to lose the weight, but I thought, let me try some things. And then this fasting thing came up because apparently it has a lot of benefits. And I say apparently because I do believe it has a lot of physical benefits, but I don't do it for that anymore. Because, so I back to the story, I started losing a lot of weight. I did, and I recovered from my injury well, and then I went back into weightlifting, but I was doing more running, I was doing more performance and athletic movements after a while, because that injury taught me not to go crazy on the just heavy lifting constantly. So then I continued the fasting, and I became this guy who was more interested in health, not just being big. I was more interested in the health side, and that coincided with the time where I started doing yoga. And doing yoga was a huge lesson for me in general. 1 second. Because it taught me to stop focusing so much on, I said Bulchosaurus, exactly. I don't know where that came from. I don't even know if I've heard that, but I'm sure a gym guy must have planted that in my mind. So with the yoga, I started focusing on health, on overall health. And I started becoming this like consumer of information of how do I become the most healthy person in the world. I wanted to be the fittest man alive, basically. And not just lifting weights. I was lifting weights, I was running, I was doing long distance, I was doing short distance, I was boxing, I was doing Olympic lifting. I wanted to become this machine which was optimal, and the food as well. I wanted to become this machine who consumed optimal food. It was just like this search for perfection, right? And I learned a lot of lessons through that. Some good, some bad. Some I still keep. Some I have left because they didn't serve me anymore. So the fasting, I continued doing the fasting because it felt like it gave me this energy. And I realized that even when I first started, when I was overweight, it was hard for the first month. But it became this thing where I had like epic mornings that I'd never had before, because I was consuming fry-ups and heavy caloric meals for breakfast. So I'd be tired, and then I'd be waiting for lunch to get another fix of food, which just meant that my energy was just up and down. So when I didn't eat, when I was first starting, it just gave me this buzz, this energy. And what it's doing, if I go into the science for a moment, it's putting us into this state of survival, fight or flight. So therefore the body is trying to look for energy, but you're not giving it to it. You're not giving it food. So it will search somewhere in the body. It will say, okay, there's no food, what do you do? And it goes a bit into panic. So especially when I was first starting, it was a bit of panic. But then it realized, like, what's going on? And it said, okay, this guy's not giving me food anymore. And I've become used to that. So I've got to search for food somewhere. Search for energy somewhere, not food. So the body will go into itself, and it will look for its own source. And what that does is, firstly, it will take fat. And I don't know if this is definitely proven. I'm not going to say I'm a scientist, right? But I did lose a lot of fat. And then what is said by theory is that the body will eventually destroy its cells. It will destroy the things it doesn't need, basically. And it will not be in this lethargic state where it's pleased and comfortable. So therefore it goes into this state of fight or flight, where it's on edge. It's like this hunter's mode, where the hunters are looking for food. So their body is primed, right? Your body becomes primed when you're hungry. And it becomes this machine which is, it can become aggressive, and it can become like more focused, right? Because imagine if you were a hunter and you hadn't had food, you're so sharp because you're searching and searching. If any bit of food came, you would see it, you would find it. So you're ready, basically. And that, as soon as I realized that and started utilizing that, because I'm a experimenter, right? I'm a person who loves to do all these crazy experiments on himself to understand the body. I don't want to just read things and assume my friend told me, or this person said this, or it's proven by science. No, I want to try these things. I want to try everything before I knock it, right? Before I say I can't do that. No, I'm a maniac like that. And yeah, so the question, yeah, definitely, when there's no source of carbs, the body will break down fat. That's what it says. And again, I'm not going to say yes for sure, because I'm not a scientist or whatever you call it, nutritionist. Some people will say, no, I don't believe in this. This is wrong. This is not true. But I don't care, because I think it works, and there's plenty of science behind it. So the fast, if you were to start, the question said, with an 18-hour fast. Yeah, well, I'd say really start with simple. Start with simple, right? Start with 12 if you have to. Like, that means just eating dinner, and then at 8, for example, and then just at about 8 a.m. you eat breakfast. And then just playing with that, right? And saying, hey, what if I eat breakfast at 10 instead? That becomes 14. That's easy, right? And then playing with that a little bit. I wouldn't say diving into it straight, because it might not be fun. But I'd say still dive in a way that feels like, oh, okay, 2 extra hours, okay, 3 extra hours, why not? And see how you go. And like coming to the 48-hour fast, that's of course very extreme. Because what it says is, after a period of time, roughly between 18 hours or 20 hours onwards, the body will do this work of destroying itself more effectively. Because now it's like, for example, you eat the day before and it's still stored there, the energy. It doesn't go away that quickly. It's still there. Whatever you've eaten for dinner, unless you've really gone crazy and done a marathon in the morning, that's the only way it's gonna use all that energy. But it will still find it somehow, because it's a survival machine. It doesn't want to die, right? So it will find it somehow. Even if you think it can't, it will. So once it gets past that 20-hour place, it becomes harder and harder, because there's less, but it will still find it. It will look. But then what happens is, like, there's even people who say it will destroy, I'm thinking to word this right, it will destroy cells which are not useful, cells which are bad and destroying your body. It will destroy those, because the body will realize that it doesn't need these things. So, and that's the theory behind it. I don't know if that's true. I haven't been tested in a lab for someone to tell me that's true. That's just, well, even if me knowing that keeps me going, that's fine. So 48 hours is tough, because it gets hard at night. That's what I found in my experience in these past few days. At night time, it's when I don't want to go sleep hungry, because my habit was, I have a massive, gigantic meal at night. Every day, usually I have a gigantic meal at night, about 7, whatever. And then that means my body goes into a very well-rested state. I don't ever go sleep hungry. So the night time is hard, because the mornings are fine. I can get through that. running off something. But the night time is when it gets harder. So the 48 hours has been interesting, to say the least. And I've kept hydrated. I've used salt waters and things like that. I've had teas with no sugars, of course, just a tea bag, herbal tea. No calories, nothing, 0. Because that's the best way. I think some people cheat on this sometimes, and yeah, let's not go into that for now. But yeah, the best way, I think, is to have nothing at all. And yeah, so I'm enjoying it, and it was easier this time than the last time. And potentially, I don't want to do anything just for ego. It's not for ego. And just to touch on that before I end the video, it's more for spiritual purposes, I guess. And I'm reluctant to use that word spiritual because I don't want it to seem like this like thing that this status I'm trying to achieve. What I mean by that is just accessing this part of us which is not just the mind, the thoughts and emotions, for example. So the thoughts that run around all day, right? Thinking, trying to make logic, trying to get somewhere, trying to figure out something. What's next? What's my next meeting? What do I do about this? All of those thoughts and emotions, the emotions that come through, sad and I feel happy right now, or like even the good ones, right? It's just a jumble of things. But they come from memories. So how can they be really us? And I know that's a hard one for people to really get their head around, because there's no way to prove it really apart from our experiences. So here's the proof, and it's not really scientific proof, it's not really proof, it's just knowing that when you have these moments, when you're having your best life, there's not really thinking going on, is there? It's just there, you're just there and you feel good. Yes, there's some emotion sometimes, but it feels different, doesn't it? It feels different from thinking or being in the past. It just feels slightly different. That's all I'll say for now. And the way I've proved that is when I meditate or when I do yoga or some other practices. It's just knowing that the mind can be quietened down, and the mind is temporary. That's the other thing. It comes in and then it goes. How can that be us if it's just coming in and going? And how can it be us if we are aware of that? If we are watching and we know it's happening, how can that be the absolute truth? And when I say absolute truth, I mean the truth that is there all the time. It's not there all the time. So first thing, get away from the mind. That's what fasting is helping with. And second thing is the body as well. So getting away from the mind and the body. And that just means I don't need to be led by my hunger or my cravings to have chocolate cake. And I like chocolate cake quite a lot, by the way. But I don't need to listen to it all the time. Yes, probably in this week I will eat some chocolate cake and I'll enjoy it, but I don't need it. I don't need constantly to be eating, and I don't need food to give me energy. That's probably what it is. I don't need food to be the determining factor. I don't need the physical body to be the determining factor. That's actually what it is. I don't need to say, I've slept so well, so today I feel happy, or I have not slept today, so my whole day is ruined. There we go. I don't want that. I want to just be able to rise above that, basically, because then that means I can rise above stress. That means I can rise above the worries. And during this fast, those have come in constantly, saying, eat, 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 is knocking me in the head, saying, why aren't you eating? But then something else is providing me energy to keep going. And the mind is saying, judging me, saying, what if this happened? And again, that goes away. It's temporary. The hunger comes, but then it goes away as well. So it just brings me back to this thing that is always there, which is not physical and is not mental or emotional. It's something else. So I'd say that, to summarize, is why I've done this fasting. And it's been 48 hours and it's like 9 o'clock now. So I'm thinking to just continue until tomorrow, but not until tomorrow evening. I'm going to continue until tomorrow midday, because that will be fine. I don't feel the need to eat right now. And if I was to eat, I know I'd get an energy rush, which I don't want because it's time to go to sleep. And sleeping, I think, would be easier to do it that way. And the other thing, the last thing I'd mention before I finish is energy has been insane in these past 48 hours. It's like I've had crashes and I've felt down a few times, but that's just dehydration. So I have salt water and that keeps me going. And the energy levels have been insane, seriously. Just pure clarity. Nothing's digesting, nothing's working, right? That takes energy to digest. And it takes energy for thoughts to come and dealing with the thoughts. So if I just realize and let that go, and I say, okay, that's the hunger, but I know it's going to go away. It's gone. The energy's not expended on that. And there's no energy being used. So it's a strange kind of energy as well. It's this charge, I'd call it. It's like an electrical charge. And yeah, I got hunger headaches for sure. Like just a few hours ago, I was like sitting down, and then I got up and I had this mad head rush, like scary head rush. And this happened last time as well. But then I just realized this is just dehydration. So I needed some water and a bit of salt and tea. I had a chamomile tea, and that made me feel good. So yeah, it's a challenge, and I think the other thing is that it's a challenge that can create wisdom, which is what I'm about. At least it's an experience, right? That something happened. So it's like there's life-changing moments where something crazy happened in your life and you get insight from it. I wouldn't say it's exactly that, but it's similar, because some insight comes and you learn from it by hearing the mind and hearing all of these struggles. You go to this place where something else is going on, really. It's just this place of challenge and pure willpower keeps you going. So yeah, I don't know if I'd recommend people doing a 48-hour fast straight away. It's going to be 64 hours from tomorrow, actually. So I don't recommend anyone doing a 64-hour fast straight away. But trying these 12 hours and these simple things, it's like, just try it, right? I only learned the benefits when I tried. And you'll only know that when you try. So yeah, see how it goes. And are there any questions actually before I close? I know there's been a few really. I'm sure there is questions, because I get weird questions like this. Not weird, sorry. I get questions about me being weird, so not weird questions. Yeah, I could. Oh, you could sleep for 48 hours. I thought you said something else there. Yeah, you can. You can sleep. See, the other thing is, like, you don't have to be so active. If you were going to try and do this, you don't have to, you can plan your day around it really. So if you're having a quiet few days where you don't have to do much, then that means you're preserving your energy and you can use that for this. I chose to yesterday not use my phone and just have a very quiet day. And also meditating helped me a lot, because it quietened down the mind. So yeah, I'd say it wasn't easy at all. There was a few things I had to do to quiet myself down, stop my I don't know if I call it anxious. I'd call it just racing thoughts, thinking through thinking, why have you done this? What are you trying to, like, all of these judgments. I just thought, let's just forget it, get through it, and see what happens. Quiet days, what are those? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what quiet days could be. Maybe just days where you're not doing anything crazy, like going on a hike, or you're stressed at work and you've got so much going on, or a day where you have to be out and about, or you're doing a lot of exercise. Like, I made that mistake last time. I did like a crazy workout the day I started the fast, and my body was just destroyed looking for calories, and I wasn't giving it any for 2 days, no food. So it was hard doing that, and I probably wouldn't do that again. I wouldn't do a crazy workout when I'm doing a 48-hour fast, no. I'd have to, yeah, I'm still doing yoga. That still uses some calories up, but I'm not doing anything insane. So I'm going to leave it there, and I'm probably going to post this on my YouTube channel, or maybe Instagram, I don't know, we'll see, it's quite long. But yeah, thanks for tuning in, everyone. It was nice to have you, and it'll be interesting to see if any of you guys try this. And if you have any questions, just send me a note. So have a good night.